Chapter 1. My childhood sweetheart slapped me for the campus bell. The night my childhood sweetheart proposed to me was the same night his campus belle ex-girlfriend returned to the country. When I accidentally dropped the crystal ball she had given him, he shattered all my love for him with a single, harsh slap. He and his ex kissed passionately under the stars. Furious, I turned around and sent 10 chapters of my new erotic novel to his older brother, asking him for inspiration late at night. The day his brother and I got our marriage license, he begged me with red-rimmed eyes to look at him one more time. I gently stroked my still flat stomach and smiled like a flower in bloom. "Congratulations, you're going to be an uncle." Smack! The moment Jason Donovan's hand struck my face, my world went blank. My cheek burned with a fiery pain, and tears streamed down uncontrollably. Tonight, he had proposed to me. I had left my purse in his bedroom. After accepting his proposal, I went to retrieve it before heading home. I never expected to find several marbles scattered on his bedroom floor. I accidentally stepped on one, lost my balance, and stumbled into a low shelf. The crystal ball, a gift from his ex-girlfriend, fell and shattered. "Chloe, you did that on purpose, didn't you?" When Jason looked at me, the affection and warmth in his eyes were gone, replaced by a chilling hatred that froze my heart. "You know how important this crystal ball is to me. How dare you smash it? It wasn't on purpose." I stared helplessly at the shattered pieces on the floor, my heart twisting as if pierced by a knife. I never thought Jason would hit me, and I certainly never thought he was still so hung up on Luna Morgan. Jason and I grew up together, and I had secretly loved him for years. In high school, he fell for the bright and beautiful campus belle, Luna Morgan, at first sight. They were inseparable. But after graduation, Luna left the country to pursue better opportunities, breaking up with him. He was depressed for a long time. During that period, I stayed by his side, comforting and encouraging him. He slowly emerged from the darkness, and we naturally got together. After college, he eagerly proposed, and I joyfully accepted. I thought he genuinely loved me and wanted to spend his life with me, but I never knew that in his heart, I was worth less than a crystal ball from Luna. Jason, just as I was drowning in misery, Luna Morgan, who was supposed to be abroad, rushed in looking travel-worn. She shot me a venomous glare before throwing herself into his arms, her eyes red. "You said you'd only be good to me. How could you propose to Chloe? Luna, I've missed you so much." Jason wrapped his arms tightly around Luna's slender waist and, ignoring my presence, kissed her luscious red lips deeply. "You're the only one in my heart. I made such a big show of proposing to Chloe just to force you to come back to me. And as it turns out, my gamble paid off." My lips moved numbly. My heart plummeted into an abyss. Even when I realized Jason didn't love me that much, I never imagined that his devout, on-one-knee proposal was just a ploy to lure Luna back. I had loved him for so many years, ready to give him my whole heart. It turned out I was just a pawn in his game with Luna, just a tool he used to win her back. "But you've been with Chloe for nearly 4 years. After a long, passionate kiss, Luna pouted and complained flirtatiously, "I was so afraid you'd turn the act into reality and fall in love with her." "How could I?" Jason's gaze toward me was filled with contempt and disdain. "She's just a shameless, clingy girl. The thought of touching her disgusts me. How could I possibly fall for her?" "Luna, I never touched her." "Just a shameless, clingy girl. He finds me disgusting." My chest tightened with each word, and every breath was painful. After the extreme heartache, I found it incredibly laughable. If he found me so shameless and disgusting, why did he beg me not to leave when he was drunk? Why did he ask me to hold him? If he looked down on me and didn't love me, why did he act like a madman, chasing away any other guy who confessed their feelings to me? He had made vows to me, too. He said he would only be good to me until death do us part. It turns out a man's promise is truly worth less than dirt. "I believe you." Luna nestled coquettishly in Jason's arms. Seeing the shattered crystal ball, her eyes welled up with grievance. "But the crystal ball I gave you is broken. It was my token of love for you. How could you let someone break it?" "I'm so disappointed in you." "Luna, don't cry." Seeing Luna's eyes turn red, Jason looked like his heart was breaking. He was infinitely gentle when comforting her, but when his gaze landed on me, it was filled with nothing but hatred and coldness. "Chloe, you broke the crystal ball Luna gave me. You'd better glue it back together." Hearing this, I instinctively glanced at my hand, which was still bleeding. When the crystal ball shattered, I had fallen to the ground. My luck was terrible. Several shards of glass had embedded themselves in my hand, leaving it a bloody mess. But Jason, the man who had promised I would never suffer, didn't care about my injury. He only cared that I had broken a gift from the woman who had once abandoned him. "She destroyed your gift on purpose. She's so wicked. Jason, I don't want to see her again." Luna was still whining pitifully to Jason. He couldn't bear to see his precious Luna suffer. He impatiently threw his phone at my feet. "Get out your disgusting Luna." My ankle was twisted, and every movement felt like it was about to snap. But all the physical pain combined couldn't compare to the agony in my heart. My lips parted again. I wanted to explain to Jason that I had accidentally stepped on the marbles, which caused the whole chain of events. But when I saw him sink his teeth into Luna's lips like a starved beast, I realized that an explanation was meaningless. He just didn't love me. Even if I hadn't broken the crystal ball tonight, he would have told me to get out the moment Luna returned. I pressed my hand over my mouth to stifle a sob and stumbled forward. As I walked out the door, I couldn't help but look back one last time. At some point, the two of them had tumbled onto the large bed in the room, tangled in a passionate embrace. Perhaps finding my exit too slow, Jason suddenly grabbed a glass from the nightstand and smashed it at my feet. Sharp fragments splattered onto my bare calf, instantly drawing small beads of blood. The pain in my body and the pain in my heart wove together into a dense net, trapping me, making it impossible to live and impossible to die. This extreme torment, along with a slowly budding anger, gave rise to an almost insane thought. Why should he and Luna be happy while I'm left behind? I deserve to be happy too. Not only will I be happy, but I will also crush them under my heel and make them call me sister-in-law in a fit of rage. I sent 10 chapters of my new erotic novel to his notoriously celibate older brother, Ethan Donovan, and brazenly asked him for inspiration after I calmed down. I regretted it. Back in the small apartment my parents bought for me, I frantically tried to retract the messages. It was too late. The time limit had passed. My only hope was that Ethan would think I sent it by mistake and ignore it. But just as I stepped out of the shower, the doorbell rang. Peeking through the peephole, I saw the stoic and reserved Ethan Donovan standing outside. A wave of panic washed over me, so intense I wanted to jump out the window. I knew he was here to settle the score. I was terrified, but I was even more afraid that if I pretended not to be home, he would go to my parents. If my parents saw the steamy stories I wrote, I would die of social suicide. Gritting my teeth, I forced a smile that was uglier than a grimace and opened the door. "Big brother, what are you doing here?" "To help you find inspiration." As he spoke, his already dark eyes seemed to deepen into an abyss, as if they could suck in a person's soul. My heart began to pound wildly. The inspiration I had so boldly requested was meant to be hands-on. Could it be the thought had barely crossed my mind when I saw him, one by one, undoing the buttons on his shirt? Chapter 2. Provocation. Although Ethan and Jason Donovan were brothers, they were complete opposites in both looks and temperament. Jason had the vibrant, untamable energy of youth. Ethan, on the other hand, was like a bamboo sculpture carved from the finest cold jade. Cool, distant, and utterly unattainable. Back in school, Jason was always the campus heartthrob, famous for his handsome face. But Ethan's face was even more striking. Usually, he kept his shirt buttoned to the very top. Now, as he unbuttoned it, I could clearly see his handsome collarbones, his well-defined chest and abs, and the V-line that could tempt anyone to sin. I couldn't help but swallow hard. Faced with such beauty, all I wanted to do was run for the hills. Only after lifting my foot did I realize this was my apartment. I couldn't just run away. I awkwardly put my foot back down, took a deep breath, and said weakly, "Big brother, could you please button up your shirt?" My emotions were unstable tonight, swinging between misery and madness. I was afraid I'd lose control and do something irreparable to him. In my mind, the brilliant Ethan Donovan was a god-like figure. My rational side told me I couldn't truly defile him. How can I be hands-on with my shirt buttoned? His cool, pleasant voice fell upon my heart like jade beads, leaving me even more flustered. What's wrong? Bold enough to flirt with me, but not bold enough to be hands-on. To be honest, I really didn't have the guts. But his taunt reignited the flames of anger I had been trying to suppress. Tonight, Jason was definitely sleeping with Luna. If he could sleep with his ex-girlfriend, why couldn't I sleep with his older brother? My courage returned. Not wanting Ethan to look down on me, I squeezed my eyes shut and, as if marching to my execution, offered up my lips. Chloe. When Ethan said my name, his voice was soft, affectionate, tender, like a lover's whisper. But the moment he took control, biting my lip fiercely, his voice was tinged with a harsh possessiveness. You started this. This time, I won't let go. His lips were scorching hot, as was the rest of his body. I felt like I was about to be burned alive, leaving me no room to ponder the deeper meaning of his words. In my nearly 4 years with Jason, our relationship was more like that of ordinary friends. The most intimate thing he had ever done was kiss my forehead. Now, being so passionately kissed by Ethan, I had no idea how to respond. The impulse to flee resurfaced, but the fire of rage burning in my heart wouldn't let me be a deserter. Gritting my teeth, I ripped off his shirt. Since we'd already come this far, there was no going back to a platonic friendship. I might as well go all the way and make Jason call me sister-in-law in the future. Chloe, what happened to your face? My pajamas were already torn by his hands. I thought we were about to cross the final line, but just at the critical moment, he stopped, his breath heavy with restraint. He gently and reverently cupped my face, his eyes turning to ice. Who hit you? He also noticed my still bleeding hand. How did this happen? The truth was, I had been putting on a brave face all night. If no one had shown me any concern, I might have continued to pretend I was strong. But his care shattered my defenses, and all my vulnerability came pouring out. I sniffled, and tears began to fall uncontrollably. Big brother, Jason and I broke up. I accidentally broke the crystal ball Luna gave him. The more I thought about it, the more wronged I felt, and the tears fell like worthless beads. I really didn't do it on purpose. He hit you. Ethan's eyes grew colder, more dangerous. I had no doubt that if Jason were in front of him right now, he would have cracked his skull open. Sooner or later, I'll get him back for this. I didn't want Ethan to think I was a coward. Clenching my fists, I added, not only will I get him back, but I'll also make him call me sister-in-law. The moment the words left my mouth, I regretted them. Crap, I got carried away and said what I was thinking out loud. I expected Ethan to laugh at my audacity for wanting to be Jason's sister-in-law. Instead, the frost in his eyes began to melt. He raised a hand and affectionately ruffled my hair. Ambitious, keep it up. With that, he carefully let go of me, retrieved a small first aid kit from a nearby shelf, and began to gently treat my wounds. Come on, I'm taking you somewhere. After tending to my injuries and draping a coat over my shoulders, he suddenly took my hand and led me out of the apartment. I didn't expect him to drive me to the summit of South Mountain. He had brought a trunk full of fireworks, and we set them off together under the starry sky. Chloe, didn't you love fireworks as a child? I remember you saying that no matter how big your troubles were, setting off fireworks would make them all disappear. I froze. It was something from so long ago that I had almost forgotten it myself. I never thought he would remember something I said as a child. A warmth spread through my heart as if fireworks were blooming inside me. I stopped wallowing in self-pity, took a firework, lit it, and watched the brilliant colors explode against the night sky. It was truly beautiful. Years from now, when I look back on this night, I won't remember being hit and abandoned. I'll remember someone who spent half the night setting off fireworks with me, someone who watched the flowers of light bloom with me on a mountaintop, someone who tenderly tried to cheer me up. With this sweet memory to cover them, the bitter fragments of the past became insignificant. By the time we had set off all the fireworks, it was late into the night. My ankle was already sore, and after standing for so long, I was too exhausted to move. My body was tired, but my heart felt lighter than ever. My love for Jason seemed to have dissipated with the fireworks. The spot where we set off the fireworks was a bit of a walk from where Ethan had parked the car. Seeing how tired I was, he crouched down in front of me, offering his back. I really didn't want to walk, so I didn't bother with false modesty and let him carry me. Resting on his back, I suddenly remembered something from a long, long time ago. Ethan was 3 years older than Jason and me. When we were kids, Jason and I loved to follow him around. He was a truly exceptional older brother. In fact, I was closer to him as a child. He had even saved my life when I was 8. That time, our families had gone back to our ancestral homes in the countryside. The adults went to the market, and my grandmother's old house caught fire. I was asleep on the heated brick bed. The fire was raging, and even with the neighbors' help, they couldn't put it out quickly. When I woke up choking, I started crying in terror. I thought I was going to be burned alive. But then Ethan, who was only 11 at the time, ignored the neighbors' warnings, rushed into the inferno, and carried me out on his back. After that, I clung to him even more. But in my second year of middle school, because of a small incident, our relationship suddenly grew distant. Chapter 3. First kiss. My dad and his dad were childhood best friends. My mom and his mother, Helen, also shared a life or death bond. Coincidentally, Helen and my mom were pregnant at almost the same time. Jason's birthday and mine are only 3 days apart. Because Jason and I were closer in age, the adults loved to tease us. Helen often said she wanted to arrange a childhood engagement for us, so I could be her daughter-in-law when I grew up. I was too young to understand love, but hearing the adults say it so often, I subconsciously believed I was meant to be with Jason when I grew up. So, on my birthday in the 8th grade, when Helen teased me again about what kind of boyfriend I wanted, I blurted out that I wanted to marry Jason. I don't know if it was to avoid awkwardness or for some other reason, but from that day on, Ethan barely spoke to me. He was already 3 years older, and on top of that, he was so intelligent that he skipped several grades. By the time I was in middle school, he was already in college, and our paths crossed less and less. His demeanor was too cold, radiating a natural distance. I was a little afraid of him and became even less willing to get close to him. In fact, I barely contacted him at all over the years. Only during holidays would he act like an older brother and send me a red envelope gift. Now, reconnecting with him, I realized that the untouchable Ice King wasn't so unapproachable after all. The man carrying me under the starry sky now, and the boy who carried me out of the fire back then, were one and the same. Both of them made me feel safe, made me feel warm. I ended up falling asleep on his back. When I woke up the next morning, I found myself in bed in my small apartment. Obviously, he had brought me back last night. I was starving after all of last night's activity. Rubbing my sleepy eyes, I crawled out of bed, planning to make myself a bowl of instant ramen. I heard a noise from the kitchen. Was there a burglar in my apartment? My nerves instantly tensed. I grabbed a fruit knife from the coffee table in the living room and crept toward the kitchen. The kitchen door swung open. I instinctively raised the knife. To my surprise, it was Ethan, carrying a tray of fragrant food. I immediately felt foolish and tried to hide the knife behind my back. But it was too late. He had already seen my hostile act. "I make you breakfast and you want to stab me, you ungrateful little thing." His words made me feel even more ashamed. I sheepishly put the knife back and hurried to pour him a glass of water. "I didn't know you were still here. Here, big brother, have some water." Ethan was magnanimous and didn't hold it against me. He simply glanced at the mountain of instant ramen packages in my kitchen. "You should eat less of this stuff in the future. I can cook." His words startled me again. Was Big Brother saying he would cook for me often from now on? But given our relationship, was it appropriate for him to stay at my place and feed me all the time? Before I could voice my confusion, I heard his cool, jade-like voice again. "Why are you looking at me like that? You kissed me last night. Are you planning to deny it? Chloe, you stole my first kiss. You have to take full responsibility." Take full responsibility for him? Honestly, his words scared me. But I was the one who flirted with him last night, and I was the one who kissed him first. If that really was his first kiss, it wasn't unreasonable for him to demand I take responsibility. Besides, I kind of wanted to be Jason's sister-in-law. Kissing him didn't feel unpleasant. I thought I could try taking responsibility for him. After a long internal struggle, I finally said, "Last night was my fault. You were definitely taken advantage of. Until you meet a girl you truly love, I'll be responsible for you. All right, little girlfriend." Hearing him call me his little girlfriend, my face flushed inexplicably. It felt like we had become a couple too quickly. But then again, after kissing him and tearing his shirt off last night, not giving him a title did seem a bit like playing games. And a genius is a genius for a reason. Even his cooking was so good. I really felt like I was getting the better end of the deal by taking responsibility for him. The only thing was, we didn't love each other. We were only tied together because of my impulsive actions. I didn't know how long this platonic boyfriend-girlfriend relationship would last. Today was Mr. and Mrs. Donovan's 25th wedding anniversary, so Ethan and I both had to go. Our relationship was so new and sudden, it would probably end just as abruptly. I certainly wasn't going to let the elders know about us. I might not be as smart as Ethan, but my grades were good enough to get me into a graduate program. In my free time, I occasionally wrote novels. I definitely didn't want the elders to know I had written erotic stories. Only after Ethan repeatedly promised not to tell my parents about my writing did I agree to ride in his car with him. My family's villa was right behind the Donovans. My parents called to say they were already at the Donovans and that I should head straight there when I arrived. When Ethan and I got there, Jason and Luna had just arrived as well. I had never told our parents about my relationship with Jason, but my parents and the Donovans all knew I had a crush on him. Mr. and Mrs. Donovan also knew how Luna had abandoned Jason, so they naturally disapproved of them getting back together. The moment I opened the living room door, I heard the usually elegant and gentle Helen Donovan speaking in a sharp tone. "Jason, why did you bring her back?" "Mom, Luna and I are back together. We're getting married." Hearing this, Helen gasped for air. "Have you forgotten how she abandoned you 4 years ago? I will never let her marry into our family." "Mom, that's all in the past. Luna and I are truly in love now. I can't live without her. You. Helen pressed a hand to her chest, looking faint. Mr. Donovan tried to calm her down, but she was still struggling to breathe. Seeing me walk in, Helen became even more agitated. "If you're back with Luna, what about Chloe? When Luna abandoned you, you were a mess. It was Chloe who stayed with you. She loves you so much, and you betray her like this. How could you?" "Chloe Forrest." Jason's gaze fell on me. His usually carefree dark eyes were now filled with disgust and disapproval. "What did you say to my mom? You're the one who turned her against Luna, aren't you?" "You bastard!" Jason's unreasonable accusation infuriated his father. Mr. Donovan slammed his hand on the table. "Your mother and I disagreeing with you and this Luna person has nothing to do with Chloe. You two were dating in high school, and she had you skipping school, fighting, smoking, and drinking. You'll only go downhill with her. I don't agree to this marriage either. Chloe, all you ever do is tattle to my parents." Jason's eyes filled with even more contempt. "Are you that obsessed with me? You'll do any shameless thing just to be with me?" Chapter 4. Bastard, I've told you I hate lapdogs. "Luna is the only one in my heart. I could never like you. Could you please stop pestering me?" I stared blankly at Jason. His face was still handsome, but suddenly he seemed like a stranger. He had held me tightly and sworn that I was the only one in his heart, that we would never be apart, that we would grow old together. I couldn't understand. After all the sweet nothings and solemn vows, how had I become the shameless lapdog pestering him? After all, I had loved Jason for so many years. His harsh words still cut me like a knife, but I found that the pain was gradually becoming numb. I could no longer feel the soul-crushing agony of last night. And suddenly, I felt a sense of relief that he had broken up with me. Wasting a lifetime with him would have been my real tragedy. I'm only 22. Ending things with him now was cutting my losses. "You bastard, I hate being falsely accused." Just as I was about to say that I had never tattled to Helen, Mr. Donovan's hand had already struck Jason's face with a loud slap. Helen's eyes were also filled with anger and disappointment. "Jason, you've gone too far. Chloe has never said a bad word about you to us. When Luna was leading you astray, don't you think your homeroom teacher would have called me? What does Chloe have to do with me knowing these things? I was wrong. I can't believe I kept trying to set you two up. You don't deserve her. I am the apple of my parents' eye." Hearing Jason's ugly words, my parents' expressions darkened. But they had watched Jason grow up, and today was a happy occasion for the Donovans. They didn't want to make things too tense, so they advised Helen and Robert to calm down. "Dad, Mom, I only want Luna. If I can't have her, I'll die in the end." Jason resorted to threatening suicide. Mr. and Mrs. Donovan still disliked Luna, but they loved their son and couldn't bear to actually push him to his death. They could only try to treat Luna as if she were invisible. After Helen dejectedly said she would no longer interfere, Jason became even more brazen, flaunting his affection for Luna in public. Last night, when they kissed passionately in front of me, I truly felt like dying. But now, watching Luna nestle sweetly in his arms, watching them feed each other flirtatiously, the pain in my heart had dwindled to almost nothing. It was as if my heart had been sick, a part of it rotted away. Now, I was trying to carve out that rotten piece. The wound wouldn't worsen, the pain would only fade until, eventually, there was nothing left. Watching their display wasn't painful anymore, but it was certainly disgusting. At the dinner table, I couldn't stand watching the two of them act like conjoined twins, so I excused myself to the restroom for a breather. To my surprise, just as I came out of a stall and washed my hands, Luna walked in. "Chloe, Jason is mine." The moment she saw me, Luna arrogantly declared her ownership of Jason. I have a gentle personality and dislike conflict, but when someone deliberately picks a fight, I won't just take it. I met her gaze with a cool smile. "Yes, he's yours. All trash is yours." Luna was clearly not expecting me to call Jason trash. Her face turned ugly, but after taking a deep breath, she forced a confident smile. "Is this a case of sour grapes? Too bad. Even after you were his lapdog for 4 years, the moment I came back, he kicked you to the curb without a second thought. Jason loves me so much. Tell me, if he knew you were bullying me, even hurting me, wouldn't he want to tear you limb from limb?" Hearing her words, a bad feeling crept over me. Sure enough, the next second, she raised her hand and, as if possessed, began to slap her own face, left and right. After about a dozen slaps, she contorted her face and slammed her head against the edge of the sink. The hard surface quickly drew a shocking line of red from her forehead. She collapsed weakly to the floor and cried out dramatically, "Jason, help me, Chloe's gone crazy. She's trying to kill me." "Luna," Jason rushed in and swept Luna into his arms. Seeing the blood trickling from her forehead, his pupils practically dilated with pain. "Does it hurt? Don't cry, Luna, don't cry." "Wah," Luna continued to sob hysterically. "I don't know what I did wrong. I came to the restroom, and Chloe suddenly told me to stay away from you. She slapped me several times and viciously pushed me to the ground." "Jason, it hurts so much." Chloe, Jason's head snapped up. He looked at me as if I were his mortal enemy. I could hear his teeth grinding. "How dare you bully my Luna like this? How dare you? How many times did you slap her?" Suddenly, he stood up. Clearly, he intended to pay me back double for what Luna had suffered, but I hadn't harmed Luna at all. What right did he have to lay a hand on me? Meeting the deep-seated hatred in his eyes, I realized that my last lingering bit of affection for him was gone. Why did I ever like Jason? Partly because our elders always paired us together. Another important reason was that I thought he was gentle and easy to get along with. I thought he could tell right from wrong. It turns out, it was all just my wishful thinking. Jason was not the good person I had imagined him to be. Helen was right, he really didn't deserve me. I met his gaze with a calm, cold expression and said, word for word, "I did not touch Luna. She framed me. There may not be a camera in the restroom, but there's one across the hall. That camera can see the sink area. If you check the footage, it will be clear who's right and who's wrong." Hearing me mention a camera, a flash of panic crossed Luna's eyes, but she was always cunning and quickly regained her composure. She cried even more pathetically, "Jason, it hurts so much. We don't need to check any footage. Luna is the one who's hurt. I don't believe she would harm herself just to frame you." With that, Jason moved to punish me. "I will make you pay double for the pain Luna suffered today. You bastard, get away from her." Seeing Jason raise his hand to slap me, Mr. Donovan kicked him hard. Helen was also so angry she could barely breathe. She and my parents stood in front of me, blocking Jason from getting any closer. My parents are good-tempered people, but seeing their treasured daughter bullied like this, they were thoroughly enraged. My mother stared coldly at Jason. "Jason, you've known Chloe for so many years. Don't you know what kind of person she is? She would never lay a hand on anyone without reason." "Wah!" Luna was still crying, obviously trying to use her pitiful act to prevent them from checking the camera and turn the family completely against me. "I'm not lying, it was Chloe who hit me. She loves Jason, she can't stand to see us together, she." As Luna was tearfully making her accusations, Ethan's voice, as cold as falling ice, suddenly cut through the air. "I have the footage. After we watch this, it will be perfectly clear who is truly hurt and who is just putting on a show." Chapter 5, My Secret Big Brother. Luna's face went as pale as chalk. Clearly, she hadn't expected the security footage to actually be pulled. Ethan didn't even glance at her. He strode over to his parents and played the video on his tablet. The camera across the hall didn't have audio, so we couldn't hear what arrogant nonsense Luna was spouting. But everyone could clearly see her suddenly, as if possessed, start slapping herself viciously. Then, she carefully angled her head and slammed her forehead against the sink. The entire time, I just stood by and watched, never even touching her little finger. Jason was standing right next to Ethan and could see the screen clearly. His eyes widened in disbelief. He couldn't believe that his pure, innocent jasmine flower would maliciously frame someone. For a rare moment, a hint of guilt appeared in his eyes as he looked at me. I coldly turned my face away. My personality may seem gentle, but in reality, I can be quite decisive. I never pick up things I've thrown away. An eerie silence fell over the room. After what felt like an eternity, Jason finally murmured as if in a dream, "How could this be?" "It's not like that, it's not." Luna was still crying, acting as if the whole world had wronged her. Knowing the evidence was irrefutable and she could no longer slander me, she threw all her effort into clearing her own name. She cried as if she were about to draw her last breath. "I didn't mean to. I don't like framing people. I was just scared that Chloe would steal you away from me. You two grew up together, you've known each other for so many years, and both your parents support you being together. I just love you too much. I was afraid you would fall in love with Chloe." "Jason, I'm so scared of losing you." Helen and my mother exchanged a synchronized eye roll. Mr. Donovan sighed repeatedly. Clearly, he had a very low opinion of Luna. But Jason, unfortunately, fell for her act completely. A moment ago, he had been disappointed in her for framing me. Now, after her heartfelt confession, all he felt was pity. He stepped forward and gently pulled her back into his arms. "Luna, it's not your fault. It's my fault for not giving you enough security. I've only ever seen Chloe as a sister. From the beginning, you were the only one in my heart." How ridiculous. He actually said he only saw me as a sister. In high school, when I found out he liked Luna, I tried to hide my feelings for him. After Luna left him and went abroad, I comforted him as a friend. He was the one who crossed the line. He was the one who said he didn't want me to be just his sister. He said he had fallen for me and wanted to take care of me for the rest of his life. I was young and naive back then, lost in his sweet words, and became his girlfriend. I never thought that after nearly 4 years together, the moment Luna returned, I would be demoted back to his sister. "Chloe, can you stay away from me from now on?" Just as I was lost in my thoughts, Jason's voice, filled with warning and anger, rang out again. "Do you have any idea how annoying it is to be pestered by you? Does your life have any purpose other than chasing after me? Can't you find a man and date someone? I really don't want Luna to misunderstand our relationship, misunderstand." I laughed. He was the one who had acted in a way that would cause a misunderstanding. What kind of brother asks his sister to be his girlfriend? What kind of brother proposes to his sister? I found Jason utterly unreasonable, so I didn't bother arguing with him. I simply put my arm around the furious Helen and said softly, "I have a boyfriend. I also find it really annoying to be constantly framed. Jason, Luna, could you two please stop targeting me in the future?" "Chloe, what did you say? You're dating someone else." Jason's head snapped up. He looked at me with utter disbelief, as if I had betrayed him. I think he's insane. He was the one who rejected me, the one who belittled me. How is it that my dating someone else is somehow a betrayal to him? Luna must have noticed that Jason was paying too much attention to me. She started sobbing again. Seeing the blood on her forehead increase, Jason lost the mood to investigate who I was dating. Or perhaps he was just too confident, certain that I couldn't have moved on so quickly. He shot me a scornful look and carried Luna off to the hospital. Jason's behavior today was truly appalling. Helen and Robert felt terrible and kept apologizing to me and my parents. My parents were speechless today, but they are reasonable people and wouldn't blame Jason's mistakes on his parents. Neither would I after Jason and Luna left. We all sat down at the dining table in a much more harmonious atmosphere. "Chloe, you just said you're dating someone. When are you going to bring him home for us to meet?" Helen asked nosily after putting some food on my plate. "Does his family live in the city too? Do you have a picture of him? Is he handsome?" My parents also looked at me with anticipation. Clearly, they were also very curious about my new boyfriend. I didn't think Ethan liked me. Even though we were in a relationship, I felt it wouldn't last. I hadn't planned on telling our parents about us. But my mom and Helen were seasoned interrogators, and under their relentless questioning, I ended up revealing quite a bit of information. For example, that his family lived in the city, and he was quite handsome. His family is in the city? Which neighborhood? My dad couldn't help but ask, how old is he? Is he still in school or is he working? What does he do? I can't lie to my parents, so I had to answer truthfully. The same neighborhood as us. 25, started his own business in the tech industry. My parents and the Donovans' eyes all shot in unison to Ethan, who was trying to suppress a smile. Clearly, they all suspected my boyfriend was Ethan. Seeing Ethan grinning like the cat that got the canary, they became even more cert. It was Helen who finally asked, "Chloe, you're not dating Ethan, are you?" Ethan's eyes crinkled into a smile, warm as spring. I thought my answers had been vague enough, but I didn't expect them to figure it out anyway. They had watched me grow up, and seeing my expression, they knew I really was dating Ethan. My little secret was out. Chapter 6. He and I, indecent for years, both families had been trying to set me up with Jason. I thought that Helen, Robert, and my parents would not support me being with Ethan. To my surprise, once they confirmed we were really dating, they couldn't stop smiling. Helen said she had long considered me her daughter-in-law. With Jason being so disappointing and easily manipulated by a two-faced schemer, she had worried I would never join their family. Me getting together with Ethan was a delightful surprise for her. My dad and Robert were also beaming. After a couple of drinks, they had already decided to buy us a villa in our neighborhood, next to theirs, so it would be convenient for me to visit home. After a while of giddy excitement, my mom and Helen started looking up auspicious dates on the calendar. I was afraid if this continued, they would have names picked out for our children, so I quickly grabbed Ethan and made a run for it. Go on, go on. As Ethan and I were leaving the living room, Helen even winked and waved at me. We won't interrupt you young lovebirds. Ethan and I hadn't been in touch for years, we barely knew each other. Our relationship was purely a result of me taking advantage of him. What kind of lovebirds could we be? Were we going to discuss my erotic novel together? Big brother, I'm sorry. I didn't expect my parents to guess we were dating. Once we were in the yard, I quickly apologized to Ethan. I felt like I had dragged him into a mess. Now that our parents knew, we were in a position where it would be hard to back down, which would affect his chances of finding another girlfriend. The thought crossed my mind, and I couldn't help but say it out loud. I'm sorry for dragging you into this. I was so impulsive last night, sending you that kind of stuff. Now that our parents know about us, what are you going to do when you meet a girl you really like? Chloe, what are you trying to say? The smile in Ethan's eyes gradually froze over, and his whole demeanor turned so cold and stern that it made me a little scared. I opened my mouth, but suddenly didn't know what to say. You kissed me last night. You ripped my shirt off. And your hand was, you've already taken full advantage of me. If I were to find another girlfriend, wouldn't that be unfair to her? So you'll just have to be responsible for me for the rest of your life. I wanted to say that it wasn't exactly full advantage. At the very least, we hadn't taken the most crucial step from the novels. But then I remembered that my hands had indeed been quite improper last night, and I was too embarrassed to argue, so I just blushed and said, "If you don't find someone else, I'll be responsible for you." Anyway, his face was so handsome, I wouldn't get tired of looking at it for a lifetime. No one else, only Chloe. My heart suddenly started racing uncontrollably. I felt like his words were meant to bewitch me. To make matters worse, he leaned his face down just as I was looking up. He let out a low, pleased chuckle, and his lips gently pressed against mine. I don't know if it was because I gave him my first kiss, but whenever he kissed me, I found it hard to resist. I hadn't had any alcohol tonight, but as his lips deepened the kiss, I felt drunk. "Chloe, I made some pastries today, you should take some." I didn't expect Helen to follow us out. She clearly didn't expect to find Ethan and me kissing in the yard. We all froze. When she came to her senses, Helen gave a smile that was both bright and awkward. "You two carry on. I just got some sand in my eye. I didn't see you kissing at all." I silently covered my face. Really, it would have been better if Helen hadn't tried to explain. If she didn't see, how did she know we were kissing? Fortunately, after putting the food in the car, Helen quickly turned and ran back into the house, so I didn't have to dig a hole and bury myself. I had heard from my mom that Ethan had bought a large 2,000 square foot apartment downtown. I thought he would be going back there tonight. To my surprise, he followed me to my small apartment. He said he had to stay here to cook for me. He couldn't let his girlfriend eat instant ramen every day. I didn't want to take him in, but then I remembered how delicious his cooking was, and I decided to temporarily shelter this house husband. I was just a little worried that he would want to discuss my steamy novels with me tonight. Fortunately, he was a gentleman. He only discussed the first half of the novel with me before rushing into the bathroom for a cold shower. For the next month, Ethan stayed at my place. I slept in the master bedroom, he in the guest room. We would kiss and hug before bed every night, and our cohabitation was quite harmonious. I even started getting used to seeing him every morning when I woke up. During this month, I would occasionally hear news about Jason. He and Luna were having a passionate love affair. Last week, for Luna's birthday, he spent a fortune on a grand public confession of love. They said he rented hundreds of drones alone. Many passersby filmed it and uploaded it to video apps where countless people envied them. They really seemed to be living like the main characters of a novel. Their love was bold, fiery, and unrestrained. The popularity of the confession even turned Luna into an influencer. I accidentally came across one of her videos. She now had hundreds of thousands of followers, and most of her videos were about her blissful life with Jason. For example, what designer clothes or jewelry Mr. Donovan bought her that day, or what romantic surprises he gave her. But in some videos, she would also throw shade at me. In the stories she wove, I became the vicious female rival who couldn't get Jason's love. I coveted him and tried every trick in the book to sabotage their relationship. But no matter what sinister methods I used, Jason only had eyes for her. So, she called me a pathetic clown who could never be taken seriously. Eventually, she started calling me Chloe the Clown. She never used my full name in her videos, so her fans didn't know that Chloe the Clown was me, Chloe Forrest. But she kept calling me the vicious childhood friend and a pick-me girl, which still felt disgusting. There was no way for me to clear my name in this situation. However, I believed that Luna would one day pay the price for her actions. Because the more celebrities and influencers obsess over crafting a certain image, the harder they fall when they are eventually exposed. A two-faced person like Luna was bound to be exposed sooner or later. Although I wasn't a full-time web novelist, I had made a few friends who also wrote. One of them was visiting the city, and we met up in person. That evening, as I was leaving her hotel room, I unexpectedly saw Luna in the hallway with a man who looked to be in his 40s. At first, I thought he was a relative. But then, he violently pushed her against the wall. Before they even got into the room, his hands were already under her clothes, kissing her like a ravenous wolf. Chapter 7. He wants to ruin me. At that moment, I realized. Luna was cheating on Jason. I don't like meddling in other people's business. Seeing Luna cheat, I certainly wasn't going to be bored enough to tell Jason, or to intervene. I'd be happy if Jason was cheated on forever. After all, he deserved it. The middle-aged man had a fierce look in his eyes. He was clearly not someone to mess with. I didn't want to get involved, so I quickly pressed the elevator button, wanting to leave as soon as possible. The elevator was slow to arrive. I lowered my head, trying to make myself as inconspicuous as possible. Leo, not here. I heard the sound of fabric tearing. Apparently, the middle-aged man Leo Vance was so impatient he wanted to have his way with Luna right there in the hallway. There are cameras in this hallway, let me go. Luna's voice was tinged with panic and tears. We've already broken up, you can't do this. Bitch, Leo slapped Luna hard across the face. I took care of you for 4 years when I was rich. I spent so much money on you. Now that I'm bankrupt and in debt, you can't wait to cut ties with me? Have you no conscience? You are my woman. From now on, the money you earn will be used to pay off my debts. Otherwise, I'll tell Jason Donovan that you were with me for the 4 years you were abroad, that you've been used and thrown around by me. No, Luna definitely didn't want Jason to know about her dark side. She hastily tried to appease Leo. Leo, please don't tell Jason. As long as you don't tell him, I'll do anything you want. The sounds from not far away were extremely indecent. Clearly, Luna was using all her tricks to please Leo. I never imagined that Luna had been with Leo for the entire 4 years she was abroad. I didn't feel sorry for her being entangled with him. She should have known he was bad news when she was lavishly spending his money. Now that she was trapped by him, she had no one to blame but herself. "Chloe," Luna suddenly cried out. My heart skipped a beat. I couldn't believe that even though I was practically facing away from them, and they were so preoccupied, Luna still recognized me. Seeing that the elevator still hadn't arrived, I turned and made a dash for my friend's room. I knew that, with Luna's personality, if she found out I had discovered her secret, she would definitely try to harm me. If she were alone, I wouldn't be so scared. But she had the tall and burly Leo with her. I was no match for him. It was too late. Before I could even reach my friend's door, Leo's rough hand had already clamped down on my wrist. "Leo, you can't let her go," Luna urged him on frantically. "She used to be with Jason. If she sees us together, she'll definitely tell him. Then I won't be able to get money from Jason to help you pay off your debts, and Chloe's family is very rich. If we want her to keep this secret, we have to drag her down with us. As long as you make her your woman too, not only will she not dare to say anything, but she'll also give you money. Leo, I'm thinking of you. You have to sleep with her tonight." Hearing Luna's words, the hair on my back stood on end. I knew she was no good, but I never imagined she would incite Leo to ruin me. "While you're with her, I'll help you film it. Once we have the video, this bitch Chloe will do whatever you say, of course. I wasn't going to let them succeed." I quickly tried to call the hotel front desk, but Leo was too sharp. He had already noticed my subtle movements. Before I could even dial, he snatched my phone away. Suddenly, my phone rang loudly. Seeing that the caller ID was Ethan, I struggled with all my might to get my phone back, to answer the call and have him call the police or hotel security for me. But there was no way Leo would give me that chance. With a sinister laugh, he smashed my phone on the ground. He clearly agreed with Luna's suggestion. He crudely covered my mouth and nose and began to drag me toward their room. I fought back with all my strength, biting him as hard as I could. He slapped me, and my ears rang. The pain was so intense that I momentarily lost the strength to struggle. Perhaps finding it too slow to drag me, he simply threw me over his shoulder and strode into their room. "Let go," Leo's vile hand landed on me. I shuddered with disgust and slapped him in return. Seeing a water glass on the nightstand, I grabbed it and smashed it over his head. He clearly hadn't expected me to fight back and was caught off guard. I took advantage of his moment of pain to break free and sprinted toward the door. His speed was terrifying. I had just managed to open the door from the inside when he grabbed my waist and threw me onto the cold floor. Then, a dark red pill appeared in his hand. I knew this pill was nothing good and refused to take it. But he pinched my chin, and the pill dissolved instantly in my mouth, forcing me to swallow. I had a dreadful idea of what this pill was. Something that makes you lose your mind, turning you into a man's plaything. Almost as soon as I swallowed it, an unnatural heat spread through my body. My strength seemed to vanish. Then I heard Leo's demonic voice. "This little thing cost me a lot of effort to get. Chloe, right? You're in for a treat tonight." With that, he grabbed my shoulders and lifted me up like a chicken, pressing me against the side of the bed. I heard a rustling sound. I was forced to face away from him, but from the sound, I could guess what he was doing. He was taking off his clothes. My body was no longer under my control. I was like a fish on a chopping block at his mercy. "Luna, make him let me go." His hand grabbed the collar of my shirt. Realizing his intention, I trembled with rage. "If you let me go now, I can pretend nothing happened. But if you really ruin me, I will press charges to the very end. Even if I'm shamed and my reputation is ruined by a video, I will never give you money. Instead, I will ruin you. Oh, feisty, aren't we?" Leo didn't take my threat seriously. "Chloe, you're all talk now. I bet you won't be so defiant once you're my plaything, and I have a video of it." With that, he violently ripped open my collar and pounced on me like a hungry wolf. "Come on, let Big Brother take good care of you." Chapter 8. "Chloe, who touched you?" Luna leisurely took her phone out of her pocket. Clearly, she was waiting for things to get physical between me and Leo, so she could capture my most humiliating moments on camera, ensuring I could never recover. "Get off, don't touch me." I refused to be destroyed by this pair of degenerates, but even biting my tongue until it bled only granted me a brief moment of clarity. I couldn't save myself. Crash, I thought I was doomed to be defiled today. But just as Leo was about to rip my shirt off completely, The ajar room door was kicked open with a thunderous crash, and Ethan rushed in, radiating a murderous aura. I had been holding on all night, refusing to cry in front of those demons. But at that moment, seeing the panic in his eyes, tears streamed down my face. It seemed that ever since we were children, whenever I was at my most vulnerable and desperate, he would appear before me. I was incredibly grateful that after I had managed to open the door, Leo and Luna hadn't shut it properly. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to get in so easily to save me. I was also incredibly grateful that I had told him which floor my friend was staying on when he said he would come pick me up. "Big brother?" Luna was startled by Ethan's sudden appearance. Her face turned ashen, but she was always a master of controlling her expression and quickly calmed down. She began to cry hysterically, as if she were the most innocent victim. "Big brother, please save Chloe, we ran into a bad guy. Thank goodness you're here, otherwise he would have ruined both of us." Leo, with his brutish face, looked like a tough fighter. He clearly didn't think much of Ethan. He sneered, pinching my chin. "You little brat, daring to ruin my fun, I'll..." Before he could finish, Ethan kicked him. Leo stumbled and fell to the ground in a heap. He looked at Ethan in utter disbelief, clearly still unable to process how a refined-looking gentleman could be such a formidable fighter. I had seen Ethan's body. He was lean, without bulky muscles, but his physique was well-defined and radiated power. He was anything but weak. At first, Leo gritted his teeth and tried to fight back, but he soon realized he was no match for Ethan. What followed was a one-sided beatdown. "Big brother, I want to call the police. Neither of them are good people. I want them to go to jail." "Okay, Chloe, I'll have someone handle it." Ethan noticed my strange physical state. He called one of his subordinates, and almost immediately, his assistant who had been waiting downstairs rushed up. After instructing his assistant to take Luna and Leo to the police station, he carefully scooped me up in his arms and carried me to his car. "Chloe, I'm taking you to the hospital." Seeing my body as limp as a noodle, he feared I had been poisoned and wanted to rush me to the hospital. "I don't need to go to the hospital." I didn't want to leave his embrace. "Big brother, I was drugged. I need you to help me with your body." He immediately understood what was wrong with me. A rare blush crept up his pale ears. He quickly put me down, got into the driver's seat, and drove me back to my apartment as fast as he could. "I need a shower." Even though Leo had only touched the skin around my neck, I felt utterly disgusted. The moment we entered my apartment, I wanted to wash myself clean. But in my current state, I couldn't possibly shower by myself. I needed his help. His body was a walking aphrodisiac. In my current state, just looking at him made me want to pounce and devour him whole. So, a proper shower was out of the question. It turned into a hands-on exploration of my steamy novel. "Chloe, are you sure? I'm afraid you'll regret this." At the last moment, Ethan paused, his voice thick with restraint. His eyes were as dark and captivating as a demon's, as if he were giving me a choice. But right now, I didn't want a choice. I just wanted him. I didn't say a word. I just wrapped my arms around his neck and pressed my lips to his. The next second, he was like a beast that had broken its chains, fiercely stirring up a storm. When I woke up, the sun was already bright. I was a good girl in everyone's eyes. I never thought I would one day be so wild. But I didn't regret it. In fact, I kind of liked it. I suddenly understood why the heroines in so many novels say, "No, no," while their bodies are very honest. After all, if the other person has a great body and is very skilled, the experience is truly amazing. No complaints, except for being tired. You're awake. Just as I was replaying the X-rated scenes from last night in my head, Ethan pushed open the door and walked in. "You had quite a workout last night. You must be hungry. Get up and eat something." Quite a workout? I grabbed the blanket and wished I could bury myself in the bed. How could he say something so suggestive? In my eyes, the great Ethan Donovan had always been a cold, untouchable ice king. But his behavior in bed last night completely shattered that image. What ice king? He was a shameless lecher. He had tricked me into saying so many blush-inducing things, but I think I'm starting to like this lecher. I was so tired I didn't even want to move my toes, but my stomach was growling. Plus, we had to go to the police station later, so I had to get up. Suppressing my embarrassment, I crawled out of bed like a tortoise and went with him to the police station. Jason was there too, and he had bylaid Luna out. That Leo guy was something else. In the hotel hallway, he was ready to kill Luna. But when it really mattered, he chose to protect her. He took all the blame. He claimed that he had tried to assault both me and Luna, and that she was also a victim. He was obviously lying. But I had no proof that Luna was his accomplice. Plus, she had injuries, and with Jason's help, the police could only conclude that she was innocent based on the current evidence. Chloe, as I was leaving the police station, Jason and Luna were leaving too. Ethan went to get the car, and I waited for him outside. I don't know what got into Jason, but he suddenly rushed over to me, his eyes like daggers on my neck. "What happened to your neck? Why are there red marks? Who touched you? How dare you let another man touch you?" His pupils constricted, his eyes bloodshot, like a husband who had just caught his wife cheating. I thought he was out of his mind. He was the one who abandoned me. We had nothing to do with each other anymore. Who I let touch me was none of his damn business. When he tried to grab my wrist, I kicked him. "Jason, if you're sick, go to a hospital. Stop acting crazy in front of me. You are no longer anything to me. My business is none of your business." Just then, Ethan drove up. Seeing Jason harassing me, he got out of the car and punched him squarely in the face without hesitation. Jason staggered back a step. Then he noticed the mark on Ethan's neck, the one I had left in a fit of angry passion last night. Staring at the red mark, the crimson mist in his eyes intensified, as if it were about to become a sea of blood. His voice was laced with a heart-wrenching sob. "Chloe, you let Big Brother touch you, didn't you?" Chapter 9. Catching a cheater, you're supposed to love me. How could you let Big Brother touch you? Get lost. Ethan clearly had no patience for Jason either. Seeing him continue his meltdown, he kicked him again. Jason, Luna rushed forward and clung to his arm. "What are you doing? You promised you would always be good to me." Hearing Luna's cries, Jason snapped back to reality. He gave her a guilty look. When she offered her lips, he hesitated for a moment before leaning down and kissing her deeply. I had no interest in watching a psycho kiss a piece of trash. After making sure Ethan hadn't hurt his hand punching Jason, I quickly got in the car with him. It was the weekend, so I didn't have to go to the lab to help my advisor, but Ethan had work to do. After he dropped me off at my apartment, I lay in bed, bored. Holding the new phone he had bought me, I suddenly found myself missing him. My phone suddenly rang. Thinking it was him, I answered without looking. To my surprise, it wasn't him, but Jason. Jason had reverted to his usual confident, composed demeanor. "Chloe, you're really pathetic." "Huh?" I was completely baffled. I avoid morons like the plague. I couldn't figure out what I had done now to make him think I was pathetic. "You're deliberately getting close to Big Brother just to make me anxious and jealous, aren't you? This playing hard to get tactic just makes you look cheap. Stay away from him from now on. You don't need to create the illusion that he's touched you." The night Jason proposed to me, when he hit me without a second thought, I was already completely disillusioned with him. Hearing him now, I felt even more strongly that my past love for him was a pathetic joke. Look at this worthless mutt I used to love. Thank God I opened my eyes and fell for the best Big Brother in the world. I had no desire to listen to a mad dog bark, so I said coldly, "Has it ever occurred to you that me being with Big Brother isn't playing hard to get? It's not to make you anxious or jealous, but because I actually like him? Jason, I admit, I used to really like you. I thought about growing old with you. But it turns out I was blind for many years. You don't deserve me. Big Brother is the best person for me. You're not even worthy of polishing his shoes. Weren't you tired of me pestering you? Don't worry, I only have eyes for him now. I won't waste any more time on you. I hope you won't bother me again in the future. What did you say?" Jason's voice grew even hoarser. "Chloe, you're lying. How could you possibly like Big Brother? I never thought I would one day fall for Ethan. But whether it was the night he set off fireworks with me on the mountaintop that made me grow attached, or this past month of living together that made me fall for him, I wasn't sure. But one thing I was certain of. I wanted to be with him, even when we were old and gray. Think whatever you want, I don't care anyway." I couldn't be bothered to argue with a brick wall any longer, so I hung up. I considered blocking him, but our families are too close. And when Ethan and I get married, I'll be his sister-in-law. Blocking my brother-in-law would be bad form. I decided to just ignore him for now. Jason didn't call me again after that. Soon, it was the Mid-Autumn Festival. My mom and Helen had called me several times, so Ethan and I had to go home. For years, our two families had celebrated holidays like the Mid-Autumn Festival and New Year's together. Tonight, we would all be having dinner together. I thought I would have to endure another display of affection from the trashy couple, but to my surprise, Jason came home alone this time. Tonight's dinner was at my house. When he arrived, Jason saw my mom and Helen fussing over me and Ethan and finally realized that our families had known about us for a long time. He was the last to know. His emotional collapse was visible to the naked eye. He became especially gloomy when he heard my mom and Helen discussing our wedding plans. There were still several hours until dinner. Not wanting to see him, I pulled Ethan outside for a walk. Unexpectedly, he followed us out. Ethan and I went for a stroll in a nearby park. Inside the park, there was a fairly dense grove of trees. Wanting to shake off our tag-along, Ethan and I went into the woods. Coincidentally, in the deepest, most secluded part, behind a low wall, we saw Luna. Behind her stood a slightly overweight young man. I recognized him. Henry Lynn, a high school classmate of mine. He had pursued Luna for a long time back then. And at this moment, Luna's short skirt was pushed up to her waist and his pants were undone. They were in a very intimate position. Luna, Jason's face was ashen, as if he had been struck by lightning. He stared at Luna in utter disbelief and pain. He clearly never dreamed that his pure, innocent Moonlight would be fooling around with another man in public. He clutched his chest for a long moment before asking in a trembling voice, "What are you two doing?" Luna and Henry were both terrified. This spot was truly secluded. Hardly anyone ever came here, especially on the Mid-Autumn Festival when everyone was at home preparing dinner. No one was expected to be around. Who would have thought that Ethan, Jason, and I would show up right at that moment? Henry hastily pulled back, and Luna fumbled to pull down her skirt. "Luna, how could you betray me?" Luna's lips trembled painfully. At first, she seemed to want to explain, but Jason had caught her in the act with Henry. Any explanation would be futile. She didn't explain. Instead, she shrieked as if she had nothing left to lose. "Yes, I was with Henry, so what?" "Jason, I didn't wrong you, you wronged me. You said you would always be good to me, that you would only love me, but when you touch me, you unconsciously call out Chloe's name. When you talk in your sleep, you call out this bitch's name. You're the one who cheated. Is emotional cheating any nobler than physical cheating? If you can cheat, why can't I accept Henry's advances? I let Henry touch me because you forced me to Jason. You deserve to be cheated on." Smack! Jason's hand shot out and slapped Luna's perfectly made-up face so hard it twisted to the side. Luna's eyes were red, but she let out a chilling, loud laugh. She repeated as if in a trance, "You deserved it." Luna, seeing his beloved get hit, Henry was furious. He threw a punch at Jason. Having been cheated on so spectacularly, Jason was a powder keg of rage. He unleashed a flurry of punches and kicks at Henry. Soon, the two were brawling, both getting bruised and battered. Ethan had to forcefully separate them. Henry then took Luna's hand and left, cursing under his breath. Jason just stood there, staring blankly in the direction they had left. After their figures had completely disappeared, his body swayed and he collapsed to the ground. Chapter 10, he begs me to come back. Jason didn't pass out. He just lay rigidly on the ground, as if his soul had left his body. Henry had hit him hard. Blood was still trickling from the corner of his mouth, and he looked quite pathetic. As his older brother and soon-to-be sister-in-law, Ethan and I couldn't just leave him there. We graciously took him to the hospital. His nose was broken. He had no other major injuries, but would need to stay in the hospital for a few days. After receiving the news, Helen, Robert, and my parents rushed to the hospital. They had heard about what happened that afternoon. Seeing his bruised and swollen face, Helen and Robert were heartbroken. But they also felt he had brought this upon himself by being cheated on, so they couldn't help but nag him a bit. Jason remained silent, his eyes fixed on me. I think he was having another episode. It wasn't me he found in the woods with Luna. Why was he staring at me? Even if he wanted to go crazy, he should at least direct it at the right person. Accompanying Ethan to take him to the hospital was the extent of my goodwill. I didn't want to be stared at like that any longer, so I took Ethan's hand and prepared to leave. "Chloe," I heard his voice. Ever since I accidentally broke the crystal ball, he had been coldly calling me by my full name. I never expected him to suddenly call me Chloe. When I loved him the most, he would call me Chloe in a warm voice, and it would fill my heart with sweetness, as if he were whispering words of love. But hearing him say it now, I only felt disgusted. Jason, Chloe and I are getting married before the end of the year. It's no longer appropriate for you to call her by her first name. Ethan turned around with me. A slight smile played on his lips, but it didn't reach his eyes, making it look particularly cold and sarcastic. From now on, you should call her sister-in-law. She is not my sister-in-law. Jason, who had been lying on the bed like a corpse, suddenly became extremely agitated. He ripped the IV needle from the back of his hand and roared hysterically. She loves me. I forbid you to get married. She chased me for so many years. How could she want to marry you? She's only with you to provoke me. She just wants me to get anxious, to regret it, to bow my head to her. Chloe, I lost. I admit, I can't stand you being with Big Brother. I always thought I loved Luna, but after actually getting back together with her, I found that you were the one on my mind day and night. I was in constant turmoil. I felt I couldn't betray her, so I tried my best to be good to her, while my attitude toward you grew worse and worse. But when I saw her cheating with my own eyes, I didn't feel that sad. Instead, I felt a sense of relief, and I finally understood. My feelings for Luna were just a youthful obsession. What I feel for you is true love. I don't know when I fell in love with you. I only know that I want only you, that I can't lose you. Chloe, can you give me one more chance? All I wanted to say was, Jason is a real piece of work. When I gave him my all, he broke my heart. Now that I don't want him anymore, he's putting on this lovesick act. Out of respect for Helen and Robert, I couldn't just call their son a pathetic jerk to their faces. I was racking my brain for a tactful way to get him to back off when a crisp slap echoed through the room. Helen had slapped Jason. She was trembling with anger, pointing at him with a look of utter disappointment. Have you ever heard the saying, late-coming affection is cheaper than dirt? Jason, we all saw how much Chloe used to love you. She is such a good person. Even if you didn't accept her, you shouldn't have belittled and hurt her. You hurt her and abandoned her time and time again for Luna. Now that she has finally found happiness, what right do you have to pester her? Don't think that just because you get red-eyed, your voice gets hoarse, and you say a few words of regret, that you're some tragic hero. This is just pathetic. How did I give birth to such a heartless, worthless mutt? Mom, I was wrong in the past, but I really do love Chloe. I can't live without her. Jason covered his face in agony. The girl I love is going to be my sister-in-law. How do you expect me to accept that? I can't stand it, I really can't. You'll have to learn to stand it. Helen had no sympathy for him and kicked his bed in disgust. If you can't live, then go die a grown man, threatening to kill himself all the time. Who are you trying to scare? Chloe, you and Ethan go home. Don't pay any attention to this psycho. The world doesn't revolve around him. Why should he get whatever he wants when he wants it, and kick it away when he doesn't? Helen had said almost everything I wanted to say. I felt a sense of relief. But there were a few things I wanted to say to Jason myself. My hand was enveloped in Ethan's, and I instinctively intertwined our fingers. I pulled him forward a step and said to Jason with utmost seriousness, Jason, I'm with Big Brother, and it's not to provoke you. I'm with him simply because I'm drawn to him, and I can't be without him. You may have your good qualities, but in my heart, Big Brother is the best. I'm truly happy and content with him. So please stop bothering us. After saying that, I didn't linger. I held Ethan's hand tightly and left with him. Chloe, I don't believe you love Big Brother. I don't believe it. I could vaguely hear Jason's anguished voice behind me. He seemed to genuinely regret it, but I felt no sympathy. Nor did I believe he truly cared about me that much. If he really cared, how could he have brought himself to hurt me? Back then, he had simply weighed his options and chosen the person he wanted more. Someone so self-centered doesn't deserve my love. With Jason in the hospital and Helen and Robert staying with him, it was just me, Ethan, and my parents for dinner that night. My parents were truly pleased with Ethan. My mom even quietly told me that she had been sad when I was chasing after Jason. She always felt that Jason didn't respect me enough and wouldn't be able to make me happy. But because I liked him so much, she didn't want to upset me by interfering. She actually preferred Ethan, but he was so exceptional. Although he was only 3 years older, he seemed to be in a different league. And back then, I only had eyes for Jason, so she never tried to set us up. Now that Ethan and I were together, she couldn't be happier. She also told me something else. On my birthday during my freshman year of college, which fell during winter break, Ethan had come to my house to see me. But that night, Jason was taking me out for my birthday. My mom said that Ethan stood downstairs for a long, long time that night, enveloped in a loneliness that was heartbreaking to see. That was when my mom first suspected that Ethan liked me. But since I was so focused on Jason, she didn't want to add to my emotional burden by telling me. Hearing my mom talk about this, my heart filled with a sweet ache. After I fell for Ethan, I had always worried that he was only with me because I had impulsively kissed him that night, and that he didn't actually like me. It turns out, he had liked me for a long time. Perhaps he had fallen for me even earlier. I didn't want to dwell on the past. All I knew was that for the rest of my life, I would love only him, until death do us part. Chapter 11, the end part 1. After the Mid-Autumn Festival, Ethan and I went back to my apartment. Jason started calling and texting me frequently, begging for my forgiveness, asking me to look back at him just once. As his soon-to-be sister-in-law, I didn't want to block him, but his constant harassment was really annoying. And when Ethan got jealous, I was the one who had to comfort him. So I decided to block him. After I blocked him, he used other numbers to call me. After blocking several more numbers, I finally got some peace. I heard from my mom that Jason had even gone on a hunger strike at home, trying to get Helen and Robert to break up me and Ethan so that I would get back with him. Helen responded with a slap that sent him straight into the kitchen. Helen told me not to pay any attention to that psycho. She said that while cleaning Ethan's room the other day, she had accidentally knocked over his middle school diary. Inside was a picture of me. He had been thinking about me for many, many years. She said that both her sons were precious to her, and of course, she wanted Ethan's wish to come true. As for Jason, he had brought all his suffering upon himself. He deserved it. My mom and Helen had already picked an auspicious date. Our wedding was set for December 10th. Our parents were even more anxious than I was, repeatedly urging us to register our marriage first. My mom even brought my household registration book over, which left me feeling rather helpless. A senior from my lab got married last month. I attended her wedding, and her mother cried so hard, unable to bear her daughter getting married. I'm an only child. I thought my mom would also want me to get married later. Who knew she was so eager to become Ethan's legally recognized mother-in-law? I was afraid that if I didn't register our marriage soon, my mom and Helen would worry themselves sick. Plus, Ethan was always coaxing me to do it. So, I decided to register our marriage on the first day of December, which was also his birthday. The day before we were supposed to register, I realized something. My period was very late. Ethan had said that since I was still young, we didn't need to rush into having kids after getting married. We had always used protection. But no birth control is 100% effective. I decided to secretly buy a pregnancy test. Several tests all showed 2 red lines. It's not uncommon for graduate and PhD students to get married and have children. Calculating the dates, my due date would be around the summer break. After the baby is born, my mom and Helen can help take care of it, so it won't affect my studies. But I still felt like a child myself. Suddenly being pregnant made me feel quite panicked. After the panic subsided, all that was left was sweetness. Ethan and I were going to be parents. I secretly put all the pregnancy tests in a black trash bag, planning to give him a surprise on his birthday tomorrow. I never expected Luna to suddenly post a video playing the victim. I heard that after Jason caught her in the act, she had tried to get back together with him. But Jason kept refusing. On her social media, she continued to act as if they were a loving couple. She would frequently post about how much Jason loved her. But on the morning we were supposed to register our marriage, I happened to see a video she posted. In it, she was crying her eyes out, saying that she and Jason might break up. That Chloe the clown had been constantly interfering in their relationship. And recently, Chloe the clown had used despicable means to force Jason to take responsibility for her. Her fans were quite resourceful. They managed to dig up all my personal information. They all called me a shameless homewrecker, saying that girls like me should just die. Some people even went to my university's online forum to curse me out. They said I was morally corrupt and had a bad character, and that the university should expel me. To be honest, being cyberbullied for no reason was upsetting. I don't think I'm a pick-me girl. A pick-me girl is someone who acts like one of the guys to get male attention through all sorts of flirtatious behavior. My personality is actually quite feminine. I've never liked being buddies with guys. And I don't think I'm a homewrecker. If you really want to get technical about it, Luna was the homewrecker. When I was with Jason, he had already been broken up with Luna for several months. But in his bedroom, he and Luna were kissing passionately, tumbling onto the bed, on the very night he had just proposed to me. He hadn't even officially broken up with me then. It was only after I left his house that I sent him a breakup text. I thought about going online to clear my name. But often, people only believe what they want to believe. Even if I said I never interfered in their relationship, they would just think I was making excuses. Everyone hates a homewrecker. Plus, Luna's followers had recently surpassed 1 million. The issue was escalating online and had even become a trending topic. Many people started spreading malicious rumors about me. They said I was a serial homewrecker, that I had been seducing men and breaking up relationships since I was in school. Some even said I did shameless things for money, that I had been an escort, a sugar baby for an old man, and had even been pregnant with a married man's child. Someone even took a picture of my dad driving me to school. They said that getting out of a multi-million-dollar luxury car proved I was someone's kept woman. Chloe, Ethan had been in the kitchen making breakfast early in the morning. He had clearly seen the news online. Taking off his apron, he strode over to me and gently pulled my trembling body into his arms. "Don't be afraid, I'm here for you." My parents had protected me too well. This was the first time I had faced so much malice. I was overwhelmed and didn't know what to do. Being held so tightly by Ethan, my anxious heart instantly calmed down. That's right. I have a boyfriend who loves me deeply and parents who cherish me. What do I have to be afraid of? My conscience is clear. I don't need to be afraid of the filth others try to throw on me. My phone number was also leaked online. Many emotional netizens called to curse me out or sent me threatening messages. I just switched my phone to silent and ignored them. After calming down, I realized that I could actually refute all the rumors online. In fact, I had evidence for many of them. The reversal online came faster than I expected. Before I could even finish gathering my evidence, I saw several videos appearing online. There was a video of Luna with Henry that afternoon. There were also videos of her with other men in the wild. To avoid any indecent exposure issues, many parts of these videos were censored, but it was still clear that Luna was fooling around with different men. After watching these videos, I was stunned. I thought Luna's encounter with Henry in public was a one-time thing. After all, in this day and age, there are cameras everywhere. At the very least, people get a room instead of just doing it wherever. But I don't know if Luna had some kind of exhibitionist fetish, because she was with these men almost exclusively outdoors. After these videos surfaced, the internet exploded. Luna's fans were in disbelief. One life, one love. Luna had claimed over and over that Jason was her only man, yet she was frequently cheating. It was a slap in the face to her fans' intelligence. Her followers also realized that the problems in her relationship with Jason were not because of my interference, but because of her own actions. Then, the official account of Ethan's tech company posted a status. "Congratulations to the boss and the boss's wife on their marriage." The post also tagged me. My family's company's official account also tagged me. The boss's daughter, his actual daughter. Chapter 12. The end part 2. After this series of bombshells, the social media platform crashed. The online trolls had slandered me, saying I sold my body for money in school, that I was desperate. Now that everyone knew how wealthy my father was, those rumors naturally fell apart. After Ethan publicly announced our relationship, people were even more convinced that Luna must have some kind of persecution complex. After all, Ethan was truly exceptional. Even Jason paled in comparison to him. People naturally assumed that with a man as wonderful as Ethan, I would have no reason to be a homewrecker. They were more inclined to believe that Luna was jealous and had deliberately framed me. Suddenly, the same people who had been viciously attacking me were now tearing Luna to shreds. Many of the netizens who had cursed me out also apologized. I didn't accept any of their apologies, because those people who didn't know the truth had no right to attack me in the first place. After attacking me, their apologies were meaningless. The damage was done. Ethan kissed me for a long time, almost to the point of no return, before he carried me to the living room for breakfast. After breakfast, it was still early, and the Civil Affairs Bureau wasn't open yet, but he couldn't wait any longer and carried me to the car. On the way to the bureau, our high school group chat was buzzing with messages. Luna had a miscarriage. Henry really loved Luna. Even knowing she couldn't get over Jason, he wanted to build a life with her. But he never imagined that while she was with him, she was also frequently sleeping with other men. Luna had been staying at his apartment recently. He came back early from a business trip to surprise her, only to see the videos all over the internet. He rushed into the apartment to confront her, only to find her in their bed, the bed he had lovingly set up, with another man. Henry went insane, wanting to kill the man. He chased the man to the stairwell. Luna tried to stop him, but in his rage, he pushed her down the stairs. She had been pregnant and miscarried on the spot. No one knew whose child it was. The hospital Luna was taken to happen to have a relative of one of my high school classmates working there. That classmate heard that she had broken her leg and had also permanently lost the ability to have children. Apparently, Henry had spent a lot of money on Luna. He was now suing her to get it all back. Many of the men she had slept with were married. When their wives saw the videos, they were furious. Even if they divorced their cheating husbands, they wouldn't let her off easy. Luna's life was in ruins, but I didn't feel sorry for her. No matter how tragic her future was, she had brought it all upon herself. She deserved it. Ethan and I waited at the Civil Affairs Bureau for nearly an hour before we finally got our little red marriage certificates. Ethan, usually so cool and composed, couldn't stop grinning at the certificates in his hand. The moment we stepped out of the building, he couldn't help but pull me into a tight embrace, eager to kiss me. I quite liked him kissing me, but these past couple of days, my morning sickness had been pretty bad. Before his lips could even touch mine, my stomach churned again. I quickly turned my head and gagged. "Chloe, my kiss made you sick." His handsome, noble face was instantly filled with confusion and hurt, like a big puppy abandoned by its owner. He looked so pitiful that my heart melted. I couldn't bear to see him sad. Once the nausea passed, I leaned in close to his ear with a radiant smile. "Big brother, you're going to be a father? What did you say?" The expression on Ethan's face froze for a second. Then it was replaced by an overwhelming, unconcealable joy. He hugged me with all his might, kissing me over and over like a fool. "Chloe, what did you just say? Who's going to be a father? I'm pregnant." Hearing my words, he grinned like an idiot. I love this idiot so much. Just as I was about to snuggle into his arms, a gaunt and haggard Jason appeared before me, his eyes bloodshot. Ignoring the crowd around us, he stubbornly knelt on one knee. "Chloe, I really can't lose you. I'll never make you sad again. I'll only be good to you. Please, just look back at me one more time, please. You said you liked me. You can't leave me. I can't live without you." Being constantly pestered by Jason was really annoying. I decided to go for the kill. I gently touched my still flat stomach, my face full of happiness and contentment. "Congratulations, you're going to be an uncle then." I waved the little red book in my hand. "Try to be a decent person. Maybe your sister-in-law will give you a red envelope for New Year's this year. Oh, and you can start preparing a gift for your little niece or nephew." "Chloe, what did you say?" Jason's pupils trembled violently. He doubled over in pain, letting out what sounded like a sob. "How could you really marry Big Brother and have his child? How could you leave me? Please, don't leave me. I can help you take care of the child. I'll treat them as my own, just don't leave me." I held Ethan's hand and walked past him without a moment's hesitation. When I used to love him, even a frown from him would break my heart. But now that I no longer love him, even if he were dying of a broken heart, all I would say is, he deserves it. The road ahead is bright and long. I just want to hold my child's father's hand and walk toward a future of endless happiness.